Hi everybody, this is Solomon, the Arkansas Diamond Miner. We're back again today. We're going to take a look at some of these rocks we've had going for a few weeks. I've gone through the step 1 with several batches, moved some of them through the step 2, and last week you've seen the video where I went ahead and put some of them into step 3. So we're going to crack those open today, get a look at them, see how they look. And I've also got a few more things I'm going to show you. I've got some organizational ideas for some of these stones that I'll be moving through. And I've also went ahead and picked up a second dual drum tumbler from Harbor Freight so I can keep several more rocks going at the same time. So hopefully I can put out a batch of fully polished stones once maybe every week, every other week, something like that. That should get me some more of these done a little quicker. So, but first we're going to crack this barrel open that's had step 3 going and take a look and see how they are. Alright, so according to this, we got position 1 is step 1 and position 2 was step 3, and that these should be done today. So this right here is going to be my step 3. This should be a step 1 that's done by now. So we'll take this one and take a look at it. Alright, so I forgot my Saruka, or I forgot my strainer again today, so I'm going to use my Saruka and just kind of wash them clean on it, see how they look. Alright. They actually look kind of, it's like there's kind of some sandy stuff in the slurry. I don't know. Yeah, we'll dump them out and take a look. Yeah, I can see some small bits of pebbles of rocks and stuff. I think one of these rocks has come apart, and that was kind of the thing I was worried about with the conglomerate. That some of that, you know, the conglomerate is basically a lot of little rocks that are cemented together, and I was a little bit worried that if those came apart in the final steps, that it would scratch up some of the other stones. And I can't remember exactly what these looked like when they went in, so we'll get them washed off. Yeah, there's lots of little pieces of stone in these. We may be in trouble on this step. Well, they're still real smooth. They're actually kind of pretty. I mean, they're looking all right. Looks like that one's kind of opened up a little bit. So you can see these are starting to look real nice. I mean, this has got a pretty good polish to it. But it actually looks like it's opened some more of these little, it kind of looks like it's opened some more of these little pits up. These turn out so pretty. I want this to be some of the stones, but when we've got pits like that, that's what you don't want. So I may have to figure out what I need to do. Now, when we got some of these jaspers, those are turning out pretty nice. Hopefully that's staying focused where you can see it, but a lot of good color on these. It's cloudy out today, so I don't really know if you can see some of the colors that I'm seeing on these. That one's going to turn out pretty nice. So I think maybe some of these can pass ahead. That's the one I've kind of been watching, and it's turning out real nice. So I think some of these might pass ahead, and then I think I'll probably have to return some of them to another step and grind them down some more. And I hate to kind of go backwards, but one of the things that I'm going to start doing, I brought some more tubs out. I'll take you and show you. Since I got a second tumbler, so I'm basically just going to have several steps of rocks. I'm going to start out with 3 barrels, probably running step 1, and when they finish, some of them will move to step 2, some of them will move back to step 1, so I can kind of, with 4 barrels going at a time, then I can kind of stay ahead on rocks, because it takes a lot more rocks to get to a finished step than you would get out of one barrel. That you know, if you start a barrel in step 1, it doesn't all go to step 2, and those don't all go to step 3, so I think that second tumbler running is going to help me put some rocks out a little quicker, and I can keep it all a little more organized. So I've got these tubs numbered for the step that the rocks are in, and I don't think I'm going to have enough out of this to run a step 4. So this has definitely been a lesson in patience. So this is taking a while. That's going to be really nice. That's a nice little agate right there. Look at the bands in that. Oh yeah. So that's going to have to wait until we get some more stones, I think. Now I'm going to wash these up a little bit more. They still got a little bit of the, more of the stuff on them. That's one of the stones that we've kind of been following there. It's got the big band of quartz through it. It's a big piece of jasper. I was a little bit worried about that little spot there in the middle, but I think I can clean that out enough once it's ready. So I'm going to get to clean these up a little bit, sort them out, and I'll probably keep one barrel for polishing separate from everything else. So anything that's ready to polish will be put in the barrel. That's one we looked at a little earlier, or on one of the last videos. So yeah, I'll put some of them in a barrel for polish and just wait until I've got enough of them. Some of those are going to go back. I'll probably back up on the ones that some of those that still have pits and stuff in them, take them back to the fine grit step. And then I brought a bunch more rocks to start on. I got a whole tub of them in here. These are all rocks. I've got several pounds right there. That's not all the rocks I've brought back from the diamond mine, but it's a lot of the rocks that came back that I'm willing to let go of to polish to make prettier. So we'll take that outside before I get them started in another step 1 barrel, and we'll look at some of those. Alright, so you can see we've got, looks like a little bit less than half a drum. And this is all the stuff that's got some more pores that have opened up and some cracks that I don't want to pass any further, because you really got to be careful. I've learned, I've been told, and I've read that passing something ahead to the next step that doesn't need to go to the next step is how you ruin your whole batch. So you kind of see that's a lot of little nodules and stuff in there. That is cool. That's going to be so pretty when it's tumbled. Can't wait for that one. But it doesn't get to go ahead. Some of these cracks on the bottom kind of opened up, and there's some more of them on that end. I think that actually was probably part of what busted open right there when they were passing through that step. So those are going to go back to a fine grit step, I think. And I'm just going to have to hold on to those until I get enough for a polish step. Alright. Just going to set those in that last step right there. I think I've actually got some of these. This was a step 1 that I had running, and some of them were from a previous step 1 that needed to go another round, so that's what I'm going to open up next. These and this. Alright, so these are going to go back to basically a step 2. Set some of those in there. So between those and those, we'll see if we can get a barrel going of step 2. Alright. It's a little bit of a wet slurry. I think the others I've seen were fairly less liquid than that. That's the reason why, because when I shut it off and took it out, I let it set so it all settled to the bottom. Alright, so we can go through and kind of start looking for stuff that's ready for a step 2. And it won't be that one. It won't be that one. Looks like some of these jaspers might be ready. They're already fairly smooth to start with. Kind of looking like the conglomerates. There's some of them that must be harder than others because some of these are wearing away faster in some parts than others. So that may be something that maybe something I need to consider. Maybe I just need to do all of the conglomerate pieces separate than the jaspers. This one's turned out pretty good, it's just it keeps opening up little pits. Okay, so some of these, I'm going to run that one again at a step 2. Those were rejected from the step 3 that looked like they just shouldn't have gone ahead or something. I don't know. They kind of opened up a little bit more as I didn't think you would grind down much, and I didn't think that I had missed that many pits and pores and all that stuff. Some of those I took a screwdriver and kind of chipped them open a little bit. And then these are all the conglomerates that I had going. And I mean, you can see they look real nice, but some of that stuff is just not staying together. So what I'm going to do is maybe just run a batch of conglomerate separate. I've got several pieces of it, so that's one of the things I can do is just run a separate batch of conglomerate. But I'm going to get a few more pieces of jasper that are already smooth and fill this up and get that going as a step 2, and then I've got a couple of barrels that I can get going on a step 1. Alright, so this little tub here has got a lot of rocks that I've picked up there at the diamond mine for quite a while. I've been gathering a lot of these things up. I spent a couple days, and I think you see in the first video where I walked around and picked a lot of them up, and I don't have all of them in here. This is just some of them that I went through recently and kind of started sorting stuff out. So I'm going to pick out the roundest and smoothest ones that I can to go into that step 2, and then I'll go through and pick out a bunch more to start in a step 1. I'll probably run 2 barrels of step 1, start getting some more rocks kind of ganged up. So those two look pretty good. Alright, got some step 2 grit here, and I've got a different measuring scoop for each size of grit now. That'll kind of help keep from cross-contaminating. So this is going to be back into step 2. So I'm going to go ahead and get these started. I did go ahead and order the bulk, a bulk kit that had all the sizes. And from the rocks that I've seen, they're so pretty. I know I'm going to want to keep doing them, and I plan on giving some of these rocks away. So having a bulk kit's going to keep me going for quite a while before I have to go and find more of the grit to tumble with. So I thought maybe that'd come in handy. So I'm going to get that one set up, get it going, and then I'm going to start 2 more drums of step 1. Alright, so I've decided instead of having one of these barrels just sitting waiting to finish, to have enough to finish a polishing step, I'm just going to go ahead and get three more going with rocks tumbling in the step 1, so I can start working a lot more rocks through the steps. So I'm just going to sit here and fill all 3 of these up. Already got one of them just about full. Got all these rocks right here. I'm just going to pick through. Some of these got little pieces of agates that are going to be pretty neat. And I may take a hammer and break some of these down into smaller pieces if they're pretty big. This would probably look pretty neat in half. I don't know, it just kind of depends on how many sizes I've got. So I'm going to get these things filled up, try and get them started pretty quick. Alright, so you can see I've got these pretty well filled up. Some of these actually took a hammer and kind of broke them down a little bit on some of these small pieces of agate. So these are all going to be step 1. These pieces of conglomerate, I think I'm just going to set these aside, and at some point I'll start a barrel running that is just pieces of conglomerate. Probably run them through a step and then start these in step 2 since they're already pretty well rounded, and see if I can put out a batch of polished conglomerate. Alright, got some more coarse grit. So now I've got both of these drums are running step 1. This one's running step 1, and that one is the one we ran. This is the step 2. This had some of them that graduated up from step 1 to step 2, and this is some of them that I actually kicked back from the pre-polish back down to a step 2. See if I can kind of grind them down a little bit further and maybe make the surfaces a little smoother, take some of the pits and pores off that had opened up, and we'll see how those look. I'll give them a week, write everything down here in my planner as far as what went where and when it'll be due. Alright, so really don't feel like we made any progress on this go round, but at least I've got a few more rocks going. I've got about a half a barrel, maybe just a little bit less than half a barrel of rocks that have gone through pre-polish and I think are ready to polish. The rest of them I just moved back a little bit, so they'll get a little bit more time. I've got a whole bunch more rocks in the coarse grit getting started, so we'll keep it going from here. Thank you for watching my video. If you would, please like and subscribe.